Hello, Opening Pathways viewers. It's great to be with you again. This is Tom LeNoble, and today I have Logan Yonavjak with me. And Logan is here to talk to us today about what she's working on with Readiness Engine, which I'm excited for you to hear about it. She is the co-founder and CEO of Readiness Engine. Logan, welcome to the show.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you so much, Tom.
Yes, it's good. Let's jump right in. I want to know about Readiness Engine, and I want to know what sparked your idea to start it.
Well, it was multiple things that really came together. I have been seeking a business idea for some time, really have the entrepreneurial itch, and have worked in large corporate and smaller organizations, nonprofits, and just found myself wanting that experience of leading a company. So that desire was present. And I've always been interested in human psychology from a young age. I actually wanted to be a psychotherapist. And I never pursued that professionally, but it was sort of with me. I've always been sought out friends and family in terms of like almost like a counselor, informal counselor. Um, and as I was moving through my career in the investing world, I found myself just picking up on a lot of dysfunctional leadership patterns and just team dynamics that felt like they could be mitigated or made more observable through different techniques. And so I've done a lot of self work along the way and come across a lot of approaches, including leadership assessments. And I just was sitting with all of these pieces, and an idea came to me to develop an assessment tool for the investment community to better evaluate the founders and the CEOs of startups that they were investing in. So
Oh,
that's really the genesis of the idea.
how interesting is that? I've got something to talk to you. Remind me about an accelerator and how some people that might use this assessment in their work.
Amazing.
I love when these things happen, right? So tell me this, you've been on this journey. When did you say to yourself, I know it, this is my path?
Well, I joke with my friends that I was actually demanding an idea from the universe. So I very much believe that intention and focus can help kind of coalesce when you're ready. You sort of might get that calling, but you have to really put energy and emotion behind it and intent to really bring it into the physical and really bring it into the fold. So I was very much on the I've got all the pieces together. My husband's supportive, my family's supportive. I've got all these resources. I just need that idea to coalesce. So I actually went on a retreat, a self retreat for a day, and my friend was with me, and the idea finally coalesced. And so it was very much sort of and I joke about demanding because I had a bit of a demanding toddler, almost. I have a toddler, so I had almost like this demanding toddler energy of like, give me this idea. So yeah, that was kind of
Yes,
the that's when it came through. Yeah.
yeah, we're talking about manifestation, which is a whole nother podcast. Maybe we'll do
Right.
one day because I'm a big believer in it, and we make it so complex, and it's actually quite simple.
I would
So
agree with that.
yes, yeah. We'll talk about that someday. Tell me this: when you look at yourself today, how have you fundamentally changed since you started Readiness Engine?
Well, I think I've gone from conceptually resilient to more actually resilient. I have had some deeply complex moments about the company. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard to start something from scratch. I have an amazing co-founder. So kudos to him, and we are a great team. So it's not just been me, but I have had some moments of just overwhelm. And I think I've had to draw on every single tool that I've ever come across. Um, and even sometimes that has not been enough. I mean, it's enough because I'm here and I'm still doing it, but I think I've just really tested myself and my own resilience and capacity, and I feel the capacity has grown inside me. And so I just think I'm more patient and um, willing to accept discomfort and see the bigger picture, but in a more real way. Like I've been tested before in various ways, but this is kind of the hardest professional thing I've ever done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So tell me this. What values have guided you from the start? And is there one of them that's deepened as you've moved along?
Well, yeah, I think that's a great question. We talked a lot about values, my co-founder Benji and I, when we started the company. That was very important to set the scaffolding. I don't think enough groups do that, like talk to each other about core values. But for me, integrity um, is encompasses a lot. And what I mean by that kind of fundamentally is I do what I say I'm going to do. And so if I commit to something, I will follow through with it. And I feel like from there comes trust, and then from there comes transparency, and then from there stems honesty, and a lot of other values kind of come from that. But because I built trust in myself and knowing that I will commit if I say I'll do something, that's really blossomed and continued to um, bear fruit as my kind of one of my core values.
Yes, we are aligned about integrity. I was at a meeting the other day and someone said to me, I didn't think you'd actually come with your schedule of all you're doing while you're here. And I said, look, if I'm not here and usually early, don't call me, call the emergency room because I said I would be here. I'm going to be here, or you will hear.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important that we respect each other. I think it comes down to respect as well when we do what we said we're going to do. So tell me this, I'm interested, where has life asked you to slow down recently? And what did you hear?
Well, truthfully, one area of my life I've been struggling a lot with is exercise and staying fit. I've done a lot of functional fitness in I grew up playing sports and have always been focused on exercise, and think it's a really core tenet of health. And especially I'm 41, and so women in their 40s, weightlifting is a really important aspect of like improving bone density, etc. So very much like on board with regular exercise, but recently with the schedule I've had and being a parent, I've like lost motivation to exercise. And so I actually went for a long walk this morning, and I was reconnecting with that part of myself and just saying, I accept that I've just been slower in this area, and I know I'll go back to it. I'm committed, but it's okay. Just right now, I'm going to let myself just do some of these more gentle activities. So yeah, I think that's an
Yeah,
area it's been a battle a little bit because there's a lot of guilt and
yeah,
those
yeah.
feelings. So
Yeah, chasing a toddler is quite a bit of exercise,
it's
and
true. I should give myself more credit.
you should, and the guilt will not create bone density. I know I've tried, trust me. And with my clients, I noticed and for myself, that one of the key things to doing it is to put it on our calendars. So it becomes just like any other, we talked about integrity. It comes just like anything else that we signed up to do. And it's non-negotiable. It's non-negotiable. Sometimes it's just personal time for people that I interact with where they're at their wits' end and just can't see how to take any personal time. And so even if it's a 2 days a week, take a baby step, but put it on the calendar because that's where those of us that are busy tend to watch, and those things seem to happen more frequently than the ones that don't make it there. Tell me this, we all have early role models in our life when we're really, really young, that had influenced who we are today or how we're showing up in the world. Who is that for you?
Well, I would have to say most prominently Carl Jung. So I have always been a big fan of Jung. He was the father of psychotherapy in many ways, worked with Freud. And I would say just his championing of inner work and the way that he managed and categorized symbols and archetypes really spoke to just how I operate and the type of language that I feel most connected to and native to. I just had never heard anyone express in words how I felt like I was getting information. So that was probably one of the earliest role models. In terms of my own personal life, someone I knew, it was a professor he's still alive, he's amazing. His name is Robert Schoch from Boston University, and he studies ancient civilizations. And from a geologic perspective, he predated the building of the Great Sphinx prior to the pyramids, which was a big controversy, um, because a lot of the evidence pointed to them being built at the same time. Anyway, he was this figure that brought in additional insight into the equation, and I believe a true scientist in that way. And we wrote a book together on the study of extrasensory perception and psychokinesis, and he was willing to, as a professor, an established professor, go out on a limb and explore this territory and with me at the age of 18. And so I think his belief in me and how he opened me up to new experiences was just really changed my life. So
Yes, yes, yes. I love his work. I encourage my viewers to check
you
out.
know him?
Of course
Oh,
I do.
Carl Jung. Oh, okay, okay. I thought you meant Robert Schoch, and I was like,
No, Carl
okay.
Jung. I love that you brought Carl up and his work and then I'll check out the other people you mentioned too. But I love that you were following that. Another alignment we have. So Logan, tell me this. Tell me about a risky decision you've made recently that paid off and what gave you the courage to act on it.
A risky decision recently. Well, I would say it's still ongoing. I mean, there's many metrics of success you can evaluate in a business, the development of a business. But I would say there was an individual, he ended up investing in our company, so it was a success. But there was an individual that I connected with through my network named Ashby Monk. He's a professor at Stanford, and he has a venture capital firm. And I met him through a colleague, and we got to talking, and he was interested in investing in the company, but sort of like busy like everyone else. And so I just kept sending him updates and interesting materials on our company. I can be bold, I would say, as a person, but I can also sense when somebody's not interested. But I really got the sense he was interested but busy. And so I don't know if it was a big risk, but I sort of put myself out there and just made it known that I really wanted him to be part of the company. And so he did join on as a founding advisor. So that was just I don't know, an acknowledgement of like my intuition, I would say. So that was a big win and a decent risk, I would say, that I took.
Good, 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 good. Love it. Love these risks people take. Tell me this. How does Logan decide when to pivot or push through?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that is I'd like to say it's a cleaner set of decision-making processes. Usually I'm waiting for felt sense. I do think that intuition combined with somatic sensing is typically how I make my final decision. But there are periods where there's murkiness for many weeks, and that can be really disorienting because I have to have faith that the information's gonna that sense is gonna come, and it always does, but like I don't know that it comes on demand. So for me, sometimes I pull tarot cards, sometimes I talk to a friend. I usually have to pull in some outside tools. I work with constellation
Ah,
material a lot. And so for me, it's like pulling on what I feel is maybe the modality that could be most useful and then waiting for that felt sense to come. But I have to be patient with it because it's not always present.
Viewers, you're hearing some new tools and tricks here today from Logan. It's interesting, the use of some of these things that some of us think are woo-woo that, quite frankly, can be very useful in clearing our head and giving us direction. I haven't heard constellation work in a while. I love it. I participated in that once upon a time. It was very interesting. So, tell me this. What did last year strip away and you're grateful it's gone?
Well, so I I pivoted from my previous career. My aspiration was to lead sustainability initiatives at a private equity firm, and that was a long-term, long um, felt career goal. I went to business school, got a master's in forestry, and was like on this trajectory. And my last full-time job was that. I did meet my goal. And after I left, I was really looking for this entrepreneurial endeavor, this next step, and I finally found it early in 2025. We started the company in May last year. And so I would say when I finally decided to do it, had the idea, and then formed the company in May, it was sort of this letting go of the last chapter. And so that was a very profound and powerful experience that even, the uncertainty of a company is great, but at least I was taking that action and moving in the fork in the road. And, sometimes I talk to my 60-year-old self or 70-year-old self, and I think, I'm really proud that I did that. So yeah, it was a beautiful year in that way.
What's something about leadership no one prepared you for?
Well, I think that I guess I would say anger and irritation are part of leadership. And I think learning to manage those emotions and use them to transmute them, but use them as energy instead of roadblocks or lashing out, but that they have information to tell you. And we just don't talk enough, I think, about the feelings of anger or irritation. I don't think we let ourselves express them, or a lot of people are uncomfortable to be around them. And I think it's just a part of life. And yeah, but growing up, my parents were very accepting of me expressing my emotions, and I think that was a privilege. I've met a lot of people who didn't have that experience, and so I think I've felt that I've become a little bit of a leader in that way. Of when I'm in a good place, I feel that I'm able to take those emotions and actually do something positive with them, and then show people that they're not. You don't need to squelch them necessarily.
Yes, yes, yeah. I agree. I agree with that. Tell me this, how do you know when fear is information and not a stop sign?
I think that's a really know thyself question. Um, yeah, I mean, this is where I think honestly our tools and other leadership assessments and self-knowing, having people who know you are really helpful, because sometimes it is hard to get out of your own head. Meditation, what needs to happen, in my opinion, when there's fear is an objective third party perspective on what's going on. Um, and whether that is talking to someone who knows you really well to get perspective, or doing some sort of meditation where you're getting out of your emotional body, or not out of your emotional body, but you're able to kind of get everything um, calm. I think you just have to give yourself the perspective to see whether, and the information will usually come through, whether it's something you should continue on with, or whether it's really truly a no-go. So I think that's just a lot of practice and knowing how you operate.
Yes, yeah. I know I found two things with my client that are true. One, for me, I've learned over the years that fear and a number of other things simply are opportunities for growth. They come in a package that sometimes alarms us or gets us concerned when it's just something there further, and that people forget the evidence of the things they've been through in the past. We have something new presented to us, and it throws us off a bit, and we forget that we've been through some of these things before. I had a fun one just Monday. I was at this in Las Vegas at a an event, and my phone started acting up and was doing really strange things. And I'm like, not now, right? Because I'm trying to manage a bunch of stuff. So I excuse myself, and I'm sitting in the middle of outside the room in the casino with all these noises, which don't fit well with me anyway. And I'm on the phone with the carrier, and that's not going well. And I can feel it just rising up in me. And I was observing myself, and I kind of had a chuckle, but realized it wasn't funny because I needed to get it resolved and wasn't getting anywhere. And as I felt that happen, I finally walked out the front door of the casino and just screamed to the wind. And my favorite part of this story is two things. One, as I screamed to the wind, somebody said, "Taxi, I've got a taxi for you," which of course made me laugh because the last thing I needed was a taxi. And then I got off the phone and fixed the problem myself. So it was like, it was like this one thing of reminding that one, it's not the end of the world. Two, you've been through this before, and there's humor in even these things that bring us to places we really don't want to be seen. But it was fun. So
It reminds me of your book when you the several times when you there was something chaotic happening and everyone was, yelling at each other, or there was like a lot of disorganization, and you would just say something to the effect of, "God help me."
yeah.
Will someone please just
Yeah, somebody just step in here, right? And then we realize that someone is ourself, which is what the lesson from that. So tell me this, Logan, what impact are you most proud of? Not professionally, not publicly, but personally.
in terms of, well, I mean, I think that if I look back on where I've come from and what I've accomplished so far, I feel a sense of joy overall. And I think that's a big accomplishment. Um, just that I've mostly followed that compass that leads us all, that we all have to find our purpose and mission, and that I've been dedicated to doing that. It actually came out in my husband's wedding vows to me that he said I left no stone unturned in my quest for self-improvement.
Beautiful.
So I think that hearing those words reflected really showed me that I was at least that most of the people close to me in my life saw that that was a big commitment of mine. And so yeah, I look back and I'm very proud of who I've become, and I feel a lot of joy about my accomplishments, both personal and professional. So yeah, I think that sense of inner peace for the most part.
I love this. Yes, thank you. How do you ensure the soul of what you're building isn't lost in its success?
Well, thank you for assuming the success of it. I know there's very many ways of thinking about success, but I think the thing I struggle with most is the speed of um, demand when you take on venture capital. So we have done that, and for a tool and platform that's focused on leadership and inner work and self-improvement, and in some ways illuminating patterns in our culture that are dysfunctional, which many of which are related to speed and almost the wrong kind of ways of thinking about speed. One of my big concerns is, can we grow at a pace that is acceptable to those who put capital in us, but also that maintain the integrity of our company? So that will always be, I think, as long as I'm at the helm, the edge that I'm working with. And I think about it every day.
Ah, yes. What boundary has become essential to your sustainability?
What boundary? Um, Well, I have gotten better at saying no. I think that when I feel no arise, I listen to it 75% of the time, whereas it used to be less. Um, I think I still struggle with that because I have a FOMO of fear of missing out of um, usually professional opportunities. So I think for me, the boundary I'm still working on, but that I'm honoring more is that sense of no, of like, I have it sounds great, but I just have this niggling feeling that I don't really want to do it. And it's more of, my mom said this many years ago, but like her therapist friend told her, you can just say no without a reason. You
Yeah.
don't actually have to give a reason. And I think that that's a beautiful statement and something that I am continuing to work with and listen to.
Yeah, I heard somebody the other day say no is a complete sentence,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I kind of liked, right? Have you ever said no to growth because it wasn't aligned?
I think there's a time and place for certain commitments. I think that goes back to integrity. Like, I don't want to commit to something if I don't feel I can really follow through with it. And so recently I said no to this coaching program that had to do with health and wellness because I didn't feel like I had the time to commit to it. And so while I know it would have benefited me, I felt that the that additional layer of commitment wasn't in the cards right now. So I'd rather not do it than commit and do it halfway. So yeah, I think there's an area of I could grow, but you can't always grow in every direction all at once, at least in this form. So I think you just have to accept that there are times when you're going to be growing in one way and maybe setting another one aside a little bit.
Yes. It's true. As much as we want, we can have it all and do it all, but there is a boundary called time. And while we all get the same amount each day, and especially with a toddler, I'm sure that influences it as well. I
Yeah.
have some friends with little toddlers right now, and they're, you know, a moment to breathe is just what they're looking for, just a moment alone to look in the mirror and figure out what they look like today, right? So it's funny. So. I know that for me being a learner, um, I've always thought about the balance of being a leader and being a learner. And for me, I'm a big learner. I want to learn every day. In fact, I say when I'm taking my last breath, I'm going to hold up my finger and say, just a moment, I have a question. How do you feel about being a learner? Oh,
Well, I can't imagine not being a learner. I think that I loved in business school I'm sure I was exposed to this concept before then, but it really stuck out to me at that time, the fixed versus growth mentality. And I've just always had a growth mentality. I don't know where it came from. But it's definitely, I mean, it was encouraged from a young age too, but to me, there's just always more to grow and learn about yourself. We live in such a multifaceted um universe and reality, and it just seems like there's so many stones to uncover, like my husband pointed to. And so I guess I've one of the things I understand least is a fixed mentality. I think I can have compassion for people with trauma or different things that might have stunted them from wanting, or maybe the fears, at the source of that is fear. So I can acknowledge where fear can hold people back, but I still struggle with understanding the lack of aspiration to grow as a person. Um, and yeah, it doesn't have to be as radically as I like to do it or as fast, but I still feel like it's it's just inherent in who I am.
yeah, yes, I love this. What future version of yourself are you actively practicing becoming?
A successful startup founder who's exited their company and had now is focusing on investing and um, supporting other companies that are doing I like to say building Shambhala, but that are doing good in the world.
Yeah, very clear. Very clear. What does renewal look like for Logan beyond rest and a day off? What does renewal look like for you?
I think for me, it's having the experience of it's almost a mysterious experience because you can't force it. But sometimes this rush of energy will come in that seems almost mystical, where you just feel this sense of like the universe is at your back and you are in the flow, and that flow state, I guess, is people call it. But when it comes, it just is the most exhilarating, better than any drug. Um, and so I would say that feels like the probably the peak renewal of you just feel like you've never aged, that you've always been there, and that there's a never-ending well of energy.
Yeah. What does legacy look like for you at this stage of life?
I think legacy is codifying values that I've held for a long time. It's living into those values in a more mature way. So kind of maintaining my energy in the directions of things that I feel are most aligned. And it's passing on those values to not just my daughter, but younger generations. I feel like I've met a lot of, I'm actually teaching a class at UNC Chapel Hill right now. And so I think I had a great career chat with a woman the other day. And I think it's important to have these conversations with, across generations because there's wisdom that can
Mm,
be imparted. So, like, taking time to have those conversations that run, well, I should say each way because people of all generations can learn, obviously, but and learn wisdom. But yeah, I would say just taking the space and time to um whenever you're confronted with someone, could be out of the blue, or you might run into them through some other means, like serendipity, just taking the time to figure out what needs to be shared in that moment and being present for it. I think that's also kind of like, how did you show up for other people and what light did you leave in the world?
yes, yes. It's changed for me over the years, and now I realize it's really not about me at all. It's about the things that I've put into motion that they continue, and planting trees of which I'll never see the shade of. So tell me this, since starting Readiness Engine, what have you learned about trust?
Well, I'm still very much in it. I think trusting that this was the right, I mean, quote unquote, right idea or direction to go. I mean, I've certainly questioned my decision a few times just because, again, it's a lot to start something from scratch. And I've put a lot of my own resources into it, both time and money. And so I think I've just had to build increasing trust in myself. I think that's been a good, there's nothing like starting something on your own. I think, well, I have a co-founder, but I have worked for other people most of my career. And I just realized how hard, well, I mean, I have a lot of respect for other business owners too, and how much they've had to trust themselves to continue on. So I think deepened, I've deepened respect and I've built more trust with myself.
Yeah. Showed some wisdom there with us today. Tell me this, if a much, much younger Logan were watching this podcast we're doing, what would you say to her?
I would say sounds about right. I mean, I think if I had extrapolated myself when I was 20, maybe some of the details of my life are different, but I feel like I was just as committed to personal growth as I am today. And yeah, that I would be proud.
Love this, love this. Great. Logan, Readiness Engine, if you could leave our viewers with one invitation today, what would it be?
Well, I think the inner work is incredibly rewarding. I don't know that it comes as naturally to every person. It doesn't seem to. And the reasons for that are varied. But I think doing inner work, whether it's through psychotherapy or meditation or some other means that is meaningful to you, is just one of the best investments you can make in yourself and your life.
Yes.
So I would just advocate, I'm a big advocate for inner work.
Yes, thank you. So important. So, Logan's co-founder and CEO of Readiness Engine, tell us what you need us to know and where we can find you.
You can find us at readinessengine.io, and we provide a platform to evaluate leadership readiness. And so we work in many different contexts. We help hiring and promotion, decision making, we help succession planning. So we work in middle market companies, we work in the investment industry, and we're just excited to provide this inner mapping that can help improve leadership and team outcomes so that we have better innovation outcomes in our society.
Wonderful. Logan, thank you for being on Opening Pathways today.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Yes. And to my viewers, this is Tom LeNoble, and I'll see you next time.